let's go back in a time machine. San Francisco, 2015. You were at Bain and your wife was at McKinsey. So let's pause and imagine those stereotypes for a second. Got it. And now what was the reality?
Let's see. We were living in a small apartment in North Beach, beautiful view looking south back over the city. This sounds cheap these days, but back then, a decade ago, for 800 square feet, 2-bedroom apartment, it was $4,000 a month, which, we just felt like, wow, it's money. We were renting it, right? So there's, almost $50,000 a year just going nowhere. And every weekend, when we finished work, stopped making slides and would close our laptops, we'd get in the zip car. I don't know if they still have a zip car, but we would leave the city, drive north across the Golden Gate Bridge and go spend time, riding bikes in wine country or hiking along the coast. And so we pretty quickly realized, well, not quickly, over the course of, being there for a year or two, 2 years. Why are we paying $4,000 a month to live next to work? If we really want to be out somewhere a little small, like in a smaller town, more rural, have some hiking nearby, all of that. So the picture was, kind of realized after a couple of years of that, hey, let's try something different. We got engaged and started working on planning our wedding, which was going to be in Santa Fe, which is where we live now. We do have some ties, and I can tell you about how we ended up here, but that's how it all started. I think now it's less of an oddball thing, but back then it was an oddball thing. And I think there was the beginning of the disillusionment with tech back then. A little, like, it was still very cool to go and work at Facebook or a big tech company, but it was sort of the beginning of like where we're at now. I had an idea, so I knew I wanted to do something in tourism. At the time, so I was a case team leader at Bain. I'd had one prior dabble in entrepreneurship. So I quit first, and I don't know if they still have this, but back in the day, I think Bain and McKinsey would basically pay you a nice severance to leave.
Yeah, they
And
did
so
it
I
at
think
BCG too.
yeah. I can't remember if it was 12 weeks or 16 weeks paid. And mine, however, I don't know how, I think I was just kind of done. And I was like, all right. So I got it first, and my wife was still going to work every day at McKinsey. And so I would pull my lawn chair down to the park in North Beach in front of the church there. And I think they had Wi-Fi. And so I just take my laptop down and like started doing research on and building a business plan. And, you do a lot of mechos at Bain. And so I think I thought of the mecho of the industry in New Mexico. And, back then this pre is, shale wasn't as big as it is now. So I think state government was number one, and pretty quickly you get to tourism being the number two industry, at least in Santa Fe. And so I thought, okay, well, I don't want to go into government. Tourism seems like the thing. We had just come back from, and where we got engaged was in New Zealand, and we'd went on this, I think it was the second or third time we'd done this, like this kind of multi-day bike packing tour where they move your luggage and you get to bike between cities. And I just thought that was the coolest thing. Really thought, oh, well, New Mexico's very rural, and like, wouldn't it be cool to have I'd never really, I'm sure they have this in the US somewhere, but it seemed, down the places we've done, it's always been abroad. So I started working on that. And then the two things I realized is, and I still don't, even though I've gotten more and more handy over the last 10 years, I have no idea how to do any work on a bicycle. I realized pretty quickly, like, you can't get into a bike business if you don't know anything about bikes.
No, it's like a granola mechanic shop. Like the Green Party took over. You walk in, you're like, okay, now I'm awkward for two reasons.
Yep. So that quickly kind of went out. And then I can't remember exactly how it had come up. We did go on a food tour, in New York, probably like 2013, maybe, like when they were just, they're not as big as they are now. And I'd argue maybe we're past peak food tour, but I thought, hey, I love food. I was really into anything Bourdain and restaurants. And also I was a history minor in college. And so Santa Fe is a place of deep history, thousands of years of human history, 400 plus years of European history here. And so the vision was like, well, what if I could take, the presentations and storytelling from like putting together a board presentation and slides and the structure of that, but then put that in with a, food tour and take people to different restaurants, and also use it as a chance to, kind of scratch the itch of all my interest in just food. Right. So this is a way to kind of combine all of those things. So that was what the plan quickly, pivoted to and got on the ground. Got married in September. I think it was 2016. It's 2015 or 2016. Got married in September, went on our honeymoon, came back, moved into when we first got here, we were living in a travel trailer at an RV park on the outskirts of town for the first couple of months and started working on the business. Worked on it half at the library. And then at the time, Whole Foods here had a bar inside. I think they have this in Austin too, so you probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, so I worked on it. We had our savings, I guess, from consulting, but we didn't have any income, and so going to Whole Foods was like a nice place to, it's like the original co-working space. Get a beer, get a little bit of food, and then yeah, 10 years later, here I am.